We strike with the wrath of the righteous!
Right, okay, so I was going to do this in the proper format and go from the very first thing all the way through. But some of the issues are sort of more important than others, or more hilarious than others. This one that I've chosen is, how can I explain the Bible's view of homosexuality? I'm going to actually use their tracts, their versions of the things that they actually use to help their young people. So, the Watchtower Tract and Bible Society has published this and created it in PDF form for all of us wonderful people to be able to read along with. So I'm going to read through it with you, and if Norris wants to chip in, he can. And occasionally I'm going to stop, laugh my ass off, and explain to you why it's a little bit creepy and sinister. Okay. How can I explain the Bible's view of homosexuality? So we're going to set the scene. The awards ceremony erupts into a frenzy when two popular actresses greet each other with a passionate kiss! Onlookers gasp in shock, then cheer in support. Gays call it a triumph. Skeptics call it a publicity stunt. Video clips of the kiss will be aired repeatedly on TV newscasts and elicit millions of hits on the internet for days to come. As illustrated, why that's in capitals I don't know, as illustrated in the above scenario, few events create more media buzz than when a celebrity hints at or comes out as being gay, lesbian or bisexual. Some people praise such ones for their courage. Others condemn their debauchery. Between the two viewpoints, many see homosexuality as nothing more than an alternative lifestyle. When I was in school, says Daniel, 21, even stray kids felt that if you had a problem, I'm guessing this guy's American, I don't know. Even stray kids had a problem. If you had a problem with the idea of homosexuality, you were prejudiced and judgmental. Attitudes about homosexuality may differ from one generation to another, or from one land to another. But Christians aren't, quote, carried hither and thither by every wind of teaching, Ephesians 4:14. Instead, they adhere to the Bible's view.
I'm going to stop you there.
Yeah.
That was the worst sentence I've ever heard. Carried hither and thither by every wind of teaching.
Hither and thither by every wind of teaching.
That's supposed to mean?
What they're trying to reinforce there, young people, if you're listening, what they're trying to enforce there is that they're trying to say that we don't just get blown around by popular opinion. We don't just believe that gays are all right because some gay charity has decided that they're all right, or popular opinion means that they're all right because people are cheering lesbians kissing on stage. Whatever that thing is, they're trying to say that Christians aren't supposed to be just carried away with the wind of the zeitgeist. Wind of the zeitgeist. Zeitgeist. I think it's my favourite word. Yeah, this episode brought to you by the word zeitgeist. I think it's a German word. It translates as mind of our time. True story. Okay, I'm going to carry on. That's italicized. What is the Bible's view of homosexuality? Stone them to death. And if you live by the Bible's moral code, stone them to death. How can you respond to those who label you prejudiced, judgmental, or even homophobic? Consider the following question or statements and possible responses. Okay, I'm just going to stop there because the word consider, even hearing it now, sends me a little bit of a shudder because Jehovah's Witnesses use the word consider. They use the word consider a lot, and when in their publications they say consider, they mean do feel free to agree with what I'm about to tell you. Consider leaves you open to the possibility that you might think something other than the Watchtower Tract Society is going to tell you. But essentially it's saying, consider the following statement, which means listen up and understand and do not question the following statement that we're about to give you. Emboldened. what does the Bible say about homosexuality? The Bible makes it clear that God designed sex to be engaged in only between male and female and only within the arrangement of marriage. That's in Genesis 1, 27, 28, Leviticus 18, 22, and Proverbs 5, 18 and 19. So I'll just get to the end. When the Bible condemns fornication, it is referring to both homosexual and illicit heterosexual conduct. Galatians 5, 19 to 21. Okay, so the Bible makes it clear that God designed sex to be engaged in between a male and a female. I don't really want to get dragged down into the whole, there isn't even evidence for a God to exist, let alone that the fact that God designed sex to be engaged in only between male and female. Because if that's what he did, it seems a bit weird that a lot of nature is, let's say, a bit gay.
I mean, also, it begs the question, why did he make our assholes so nice and tight?
Yeah. Why make it alluring? You're saying that and it seems a bit silly, but why make it alluring? Why give us the sexual propensities and make us have to go against that? I mean, Jehovah's Witnesses don't even they go by this sort of mantra of hate the act, not the person. So they'd allow somebody who was gay and had gay tendencies to be a Jehovah's Witness, just as long as they never acted upon it. Therefore, just let them be miserable and unfulfilled for the rest of their life, on the off chance that in the future they might get some reward in either heaven or on the paradise on earth. In which case, they will be in the paradise on earth or in heaven and then no longer be gay. What, they're supposed to just be cured of it and be suddenly straight? They wouldn't even be the same person, would they?
Hold out here and there'll be all the gays you'll need in heaven.
Yeah. Okay. Emboldened. What's your view on homosexuality? I don't hate homosexuals, but I can't approve of their conduct. Okay,
Yes.
I'm not really going to get very far without making a comment, but basically, I don't hate homosexuals, but I can't approve of their conduct, okay? Fair enough, you don't hate homosexuals, okay? Don't hate. But I can't approve of their conduct. Right. That to me is just a baseless statement. Whether or not you approve of their conduct does not matter. Their conduct is none of your business.
Mm-hmm.
There you go, young Jehovah's Witnesses who are doubting. Yeah, that's right. I'm the voice of apostasy. Remember, if you're guided by the Bible's moral code, stone them to death, then this is your lifestyle choice and you have a right to it. So what they're trying to do there is they're trying to equate your views on homosexuality as a lifestyle choice in the same fashion as they've decided homosexuality is a lifestyle choice. Therefore equating the two as having the same validity, which is just ridiculous. Don't feel ashamed of your view, Psalms 119:46. Don't feel ashamed of your view. Yeah, that's fair enough. Don't feel ashamed of your view. I wouldn't even expect anybody to feel ashamed of their view. Your view is exactly what you choose it to be. That's fair enough. Your view is the same as your opinion. You're entitled to it. Doesn't mean you're right. Emboldened. Shouldn't Christians respect all people regardless of their sexual orientation? Absolutely. The Bible says, honour men of all sorts, or, as today's English version renders it, respect everyone. 1 Peter 2:17. Therefore, Christians are not homophobic. That's it. I enjoy that. I enjoy that as a statement. Do you enjoy that as a statement?
Yeah, it does what it says on the tin.
Respect everyone. Therefore, Christians are not homophobic. That seems a bit weird to me. By Christians, we're talking of the 36,000 plus denominations of Christianity, many of which are explicitly homophobic. I'm just going to leave that with you.
Yeah.
They show kindness to all people, including those who are gay. Do they? Yeah, a lot of them do. That's fair enough. Many of them don't. Another redundant statement from Matthew 7:12. Emboldened. Doesn't your view on homosexuality encourage prejudice against gays? Yes, it does, yeah. Not at all. I reject homosexual conduct, not people. What is that? I reject homosexual conduct, not people. So they're saying that sex and love between homosexuals is their conduct, right? I reject homosexual conduct. I'm not happy with guys sleeping with guys, and I know I'm saying guys are not girls, but the strange sort of twisted world in which Christians live means that they usually just exclude lesbians completely, and they definitely exclude the spectrum of sexuality. It's either you are a gay sinner or you're a straight cool dude. Anyway, okay, so doesn't your view of homosexuality encourage prejudice against gays? Not at all. I reject homosexual conduct, not people. Rejecting their conduct, it's not the conduct, it's their entire lives. So yes, the people, their sexual orientation, yeah. You could add. So this is like the you know, the suggestions of the church. You could add, to make a comparison. This makes my skin crawl. To make a comparison, I could choose not to smoke. In fact, I find the very idea of it repugnant. But suppose you're a smoker and you feel differently. I wouldn't be prejudiced against you for your view, just as I'm sure you wouldn't be prejudiced against me for my view. Am I right? Am I right? Mm-hmm. The same principle applies to our differing views of homosexuality. No, it doesn't. Not even slightly. If you're a JW and you're young and you're looking at this and you're thinking to yourself, are my publications correct? No, they're not even slightly. Mm. To say that you could make the comparison of the fact that you choose not to smoke as someone else does implies that homosexuality is a choice. This is like you're saying, well, you know, like, I choose not to sleep with guys and you do. So, you know, we've all got our opinions. No, I'm afraid not. No. There's absolutely nothing that makes that right at all. Okay, so the fact that you find the idea of something repugnant is irrelevant. You can find it repugnant. It isn't the same as smoking, because someone puts a cigarette to their lips and inhales carcinogens, and yes, that is detrimental to them. There is another way to put a fag to your lips, and whether or not you find it repugnant is irrelevant. Did you like that?
I did. It was enjoyable.
Enjoyable. Anyway, okay, so emboldened. Oh, hang on, no, I just want to go back a little bit. Okay, I wouldn't be prejudiced against you for your view, just as I'm sure you wouldn't be prejudiced against me for my view. Am I right? Am I right? The same principle applies to our differing views of homosexuality. No, because these are not differing views of homosexuality. This is you equating a choice with a sexual orientation, and they are not the same. If you believe them to be the same, then you simply have not done your homework.
Yeah.
So being that this is young people ask, hopefully you're young if you're listening to this, and if you are young, you've got some more homework to do.
Yeah.
Emboldened. Didn't Jesus preach tolerance? If so, shouldn't Christians take a permissive view of homosexuality? Jesus didn't encourage, I'm on the right hand side here if you're looking at the PDF, Jesus didn't encourage his followers to accept any and all lifestyles. Rather, he taught that the way of salvation is open to exercising faith in him. Exercising faith in Jesus includes conforming to God's moral code, which forbids certain types of conduct, including homosexuality, which is in Romans 1, 26-27. Okay? God's moral code. If you just sort of like taking this on board and you haven't really questioned much of your faith, God's moral code is about the most ridiculous moral code that any character from any fiction ever decided to put onto page. It's like the most ridiculous thing to say that Jesus includes conforming to God's moral code. You know God, yeah. You know God. Mm-hmm. You know the genocidal God. Do you remember him, Norris?
I do. From back in the day.
You know God that killed all the kids, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know the God that decided to drown the entire earth?
Well, he made it.
Well, yeah. That's kind of like divine command theory. That it's like, well, yeah, he made it, so he can do what he wants, can't he? Yeah. Well, I guess if you go by that logic, then yeah, but no. Right. Okay. So yeah, exercising faith in Jesus includes conforming to God's moral code, which is flawed in every regard, which forbids certain types of conduct, including homosexuality. Again, homosexuality is not a conduct. It's not a way you conduct yourself. It's a sexual orientation. Do your homework. God's moral code forbids certain types of conduct, including homosexuality. Yeah, it does include homosexuality. There's other parts of moral code, like when like a rape victim doesn't shout out loud enough in a city, then it's her own problem. There's moral codes like when you force yourself upon a woman and rape her. Well, you've defiled her, so you have to pay your dad 50 pieces of silver and marry her. Of course you do. I mean, why would you not? This is God's morals, after all. Just makes perfect sense. Am I right? No, I'm not right. Emboldened. Homosexuals can't change their orientation. They are born that way. My mama told me when I was young. Sorry, getting on the old born this way. The Bible doesn't comment on the biology of homosexuals. How could it? It knows nothing of biology. We're talking about the Bible that thinks that the cure for leprosy is to get two birds, kill one, dip the living one in the dead blood and let it fly away. We're also talking of the Bible, the Bible that thinks that its version of biology means that. Well, I suppose we're talking zoology, but it thinks that a bat is a bird when it's clearly not. It's a mammal. You know, just like little simple things like that the Bible gets wrong. All I'm saying is, yeah, sure, the Bible makes the odd mistake, but it's supposed to be divinely inspired. Am I right?
No.
It depresses me going through this stuff, but I think some people need to hear it. Okay, the Bible doesn't comment on biology of homosexuals, although it acknowledges that some traits are deeply ingrained. They're not traits, and deeply ingrained. Yeah, I might give you deeply ingrained, but that implies that it was somehow forced upon them when it wasn't. Even if some are orientated towards the same sex, so they're at least acknowledging that some people can be orientated towards the same sex. The Bible tells Christians to shun homosexual acts. Suggestion: rather than get ensnared in a debate about the cause of homosexual desires, I just want to point out, if you're young and you're questioning this and you're listening to this because you're confused, when it suggests that rather than ensnaring in a debate about the cause of homosexual desires, they're encouraging you not to get ensnared in a debate, because you will lose every single time. Every time. Because if you get yourself ensnared in a debate about homosexual desires, it's just really obvious where they come from. They are your sexual desires because they're based on you as a human being.
Yeah.
Anyway, emphasize that the Bible prohibits homosexual conduct. It doesn't say anything here, I noticed, Norris, about stoning them to death. Does it?
It doesn't.
Have you noticed anything so far where it says homosexual conduct? Should they display homosexual conduct, try stoning them to death.
Yeah, the old cherry picking.
Anyway, to make a comparison, you could say, you know, many claim that violent behaviour can have a genetic root. This is another thing that pisses me off. You know, many claim that violent behaviour can have a genetic root and that as a result, some people are predisposed to it. Proverbs 29:22. What if that was true? As you may know, the Bible condemns fits of anger. Psalms 37 verse 8. Ephesians 4:31. Is that standard unfair just because some may be inclined toward violence? So what it's saying is, some people can be predisposed toward violent behaviour. Some people can be more violent than other people, but that doesn't mean that we accept the fact that they are violent. Okay? Mm-hmm. Yeah? Mm-hmm. Are you following that so far, Norris?
Yeah.
I hope the young people at home are.
Yeah. No.
Because I'm about to give a sucker punch. Okay. Violent behaviour. That could be genetic. Let's just suppose that it is. Yeah. Some people are just genetically predisposed towards fits of anger and rage. Do we accept violence towards people based on their genetic disposition? No, because they're still being violent towards people. Yeah. Again, the Jehovah's Witnesses here are equating a predisposition towards violence with the fact that you could have a predisposition towards homosexuality. Now, the very clear thing here, the dichotomy, is if you are violent towards someone or something, your right this has been in many books, many articles, many debates. Your right to swing your fist ends at my face. Okay, you can do whatever you want, but the second you start encroaching on my civil liberties, my human rights, you're doing something wrong. Make sense? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, homosexuality. We're not talking about people. We're not talking about men and women going around forcing themselves upon other men and women. This is about sexual orientation. This is about two people, or I was going to say two people. I don't care if it's 15 people. If these people that are engaged in any sexual act are all consenting adults, there is no crime. Mm-hmm. Okay? So violence, unacceptable. Sexuality between consenting adults, completely and utterly acceptable.
Violence, unacceptable. Deep anal penetration, totally acceptable.
I don't even care. Even if we put the two together, if we said violent anal penetration between two people who are totally up for it, it's still all right. It's still fine. If it's consenting adults, it's a victimless crime. Okay, so over here, Mr. Jehovah's Witness, who may or may not be listening, that is complete and utter bullshit. That could not be more of a false dichotomy. Violence is a crime against somebody. Sexuality isn't. It's really that simple. Okay, we're gonna move on. Emboldened. How could God tell someone who is attracted to people of the same sex to shun homosexuality? That sounds cruel, doesn't it? Such reasoning is based on the flawed notion that humans must act on their sexual impulses. The Bible dignifies humans by assuring them that they can choose not to act on their improper sexual urges if they truly want to. Colossians 3:5. Okay, so what that's saying is, this is the flawed notion that humans must act on their sexual impulses. No one's saying that you must act on sexual impulses, but they're making out like if you're gay, you just don't need to act on it. Just like you might be gay as far as your biology, as far as your brain and your sexuality, but just don't do it. This again is one of these weird things where the people like Jehovah's Witnesses who don't fully understand homosexuality, they view homosexuality as simply a sexual act. They have real difficulty in getting their head around the fact that it's actual emotion as well. The homosexuality, as my mate Christopher Hitchens in the Intelligence Squared debate when Stephen Fry was with him said, he said it's not a form of sex, it's a form of love. And they refuse to acknowledge that. It's like the blinkers are on and they will refuse to acknowledge that. When they say about sexual impulses, they're trying to make people who are reading this, young people, impressionable people, they're trying to make those people think that we're talking about sexual impulses. All we're talking about is getting our end away. And that is it. We're not talking about loving gay men or women. who have been in relationships for years, who have got children and stuff. No, I'm not talking about any of that. It's just sexual impulses. And it's saying here that the Bible dignifies humans, does it? By assuring them that they can choose not to act on their improper sexual urges if they truly want to. So see how they've just slipped in there the word improper? They've just slipped in the word improper. So they're just equating your sexual impulses that are not of a heterosexual nature as improper. Once again, total bullshit.
Emboldened. Even if you're not gay, should you change your view of homosexuality? Suppose I didn't approve of gambling, but you did. Would it be reasonable for you to insist that I change my view simply because millions of people choose to gamble? So, there it is again, a choice of gambling. Not a choice though, is it? Anyway.
I wouldn't say you can demand to change somebody's mind, but you could at least point out the fact that they are completely wrong in what they think. Remember this. Homosexuals, along with most people, have some ethical code that causes them to deplore certain things, perhaps for fraud, injustice, or war. The Bible prohibits those behaviours. It also draws the line at certain types of sexual conduct, including homosexuality. 1 Corinthians 6, 9, 10. Once again, I just want to point out the fact that it says the Bible prohibits those behaviours. It also draws a line at certain types of sexual conduct, including homosexuality. By draw a line, I think it means draw a line in the sand, where you would then bury the homosexual up to his waist and then stone him to death. It's still not mentioned the punishment for homosexuality, has it? Anyway, the Bible is not unreasonable. Sorry, I'm just going to stop right there. The Bible's not unreasonable. Just allow that to sink in for a minute. I just want to say, as an atheist and former Jehovah's Witness, the Bible is utterly unreasonable because it asks you to accept things on faith, which, as my mate Aaron Ra, is not my mate, but I like him all the same. It's not reciprocal, but I do enjoy him. My mate Aaron Ross says faith is the most dishonest position it is possible to have, because you are accepting things without any evidence, but not only without evidence, but in direct contradiction to any of the evidence. Okay? So when it says the Bible is not unreasonable, it is completely and utterly unreasonable. Nor does it promote prejudice.
Yes, it does.
Yes, it absolutely does. It promotes prejudice in the extreme. Not, we're not talking prejudice like oh yeah, them homosexuals. I don't think that you should agree with the things that they do. We're talking about stoning homosexuals to death. Prejudice in the extreme. We're talking about without mercy. We're talking about genocide and infanticide, killing people based on the things that they did or based on things that they didn't do. Is it all right to flood the earth? Apparently, if you made it, fair enough. But when you flood the earth because of all that is wicked, presumably there's a lot of infants as well that are just completely and utterly innocent. Some newborn babies. Yeah, let's just drown them. Anyway, the Bible is not unreasonable. Yes, it is. Nor does it promote prejudice. Yes, it does. It simply directs those with homosexual urges to do the same thing that is required of those with an opposite sex attraction, to flee from fornication. I mean, I can't even bother going into how ridiculous that is. But let's just very, very quickly. It simply directs homosexual urges, those with homosexual urges, to the same thing that's required of those of opposite sex attraction, to flee from fornication. Don't fornicate. Don't fornicate. The difference is, we're not talking about fornication, because, like I say, if two people are in a loving relationship, it's not necessarily about sex. We're not talking about fornication, although they will view like anything out of wedlock as fornication. But then that brings us all the way back to, do you have to be married? Well, yeah, because God said so. Really? That God that you can't prove that exists? How's this working out for you, Norris? You've never really seen any Jehovah's Witness material, have you?
It doesn't surprise me.
Yeah?
At the end of the day, the people who've written it are writing it to convince young people of the things that they believe or want the young people to believe. So, yeah, it's. I mean, look, looking at it as an adult who's obviously read a few books and stuff, you can easily see, where the ridiculous things are. But, a kid who's maybe not read many books and is, and also is impressionable and wants to please his parents or the community around them, they're probably going to take this as as the word of God, so to speak.
This is my main problem. This is the reason why Catholics have their greasy paws in all of the schools and things like that. You've got to indoctrinate people while they're young, because if you come across this as an individual who has just come to their own senses based on just facts, reason, evidence, if your reasoning faculties are fully in place.
Although there are lots of people who become Catholics as adults.
Oh yeah, sure, yeah, of course there is, yeah. I wouldn't say otherwise. But what I mean is, statistically speaking, if you gather yourself a few thousand people who have never heard anything about the Bible and tried to get them to understand it, they'd just laugh in your face.
Yeah.
But if you get it given to you from a young age, where it slowly becomes slightly more reasonable, because that's just how things are, It reminds me, just before I finish this off, it reminds me of when I was once watching a documentary about what Muslims believed about Jesus. We explained that in the last podcast. And my mum was with me at the time. I was living with her. It's a while ago. And she was scoffing at what they believed. And I didn't say anything to her, but I just thought to myself, you're laughing at what they believe, but you believe in Adam and Eve, and you believe in the talking snake, and you believe in a virgin birth. You believe in Noah's Ark.
Why didn't you say that to her?
Because I was living with her at the time, so I didn't really want to cause any kind of a rift. But in my mind, I just thought to myself, everything you believe is batshit crazy to me, and it is equally batshit crazy to me about what Muslims believe, just as it is Scientology, or do you know what I mean? That was one of my sort of awakening moments. What's your awakening? One of my awakening moments where I just thought to myself, wow, you think that's all crazy. And the stuff that you believe, because you've been told it 1,000 times or more, it's entirely reasonable. Anyway, let's finish off this tract. Okay, last paragraph. The fact is, we're dealing in facts now, are we? Are we Watchtower Bible Tract Society? The fact is, millions of heterosexuals who wish to conform to the Bible standards employ self-control despite any temptations they might face. I can't help mentioning things like the clearly gay people in the Bible Belt that claim themselves to be ex-gay based on their sort of their gayness being taken away from them through prayer and things like that. If you are in the UK, feel free to have a look at Undercover Doctor. Did you see that, Norris?
Nope.
Undercover Doctor, Dr. Christian, who does embarrassing bodies and stuff. He started doing a series called Undercover Doctor, and the very first episode is about gay cures, and he goes to America, and because Dr. Christian is gay, so he goes to try and cure himself to see what these cures are like. And this is the kind of thing they're talking about here, where it says millions of heterosexuals who wish to conform to the Bible standards employ self-control despite any temptation they might face. So what they're saying is, just deny your sexual orientation. Just don't act on it, which is all right if you think that that's all right. But just like Roy Zimmerman says before one of his songs, I've explained this in another podcast, I think, he says, abstinence only is the same as just hold it potty training. Sooner or later, you're going to shit yourself. Yeah. Sooner or later, you're going to have some sex, okay? Yeah. So if you just bottle it up and don't decide to follow on your natural sexual urges, you probably, even if nothing goes wrong, you will at the very least not have a full human experience. Let's leave it at that. The number includes many who are single with little prospect of marriage and many who are married to a disabled partner who is unable to function sexually. It's a rather odd thing to put in there, but they're basically saying if you're homosexual, you're just not following. If you're homosexual who wants to follow the Bible, you just don't need to follow up on your sexual urges, just like people who might be married to someone who can't perform sexually. It's not the same, though, is it?
Really not the same.
No.
Because...
But that doesn't matter to them.
Even if you had a disabled partner who couldn't perform sexually, it doesn't mean you can't. And I'm sure they'd be, if they loved you and they knew that brought you pleasure, they'd probably say, well, look, I can't feel it, but, stick it where you want.
Wait, you're making me laugh and I'm trying to be fuming. Because this shit annoys me. It annoys me more because I can read this and I can see it through my teenage eyes. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And as an adult who has educated himself away from this and has encountered many gay people, I'll just leave that as ambiguous as it sounds. Encountered many gay people. Now it doesn't just seem alien to me. It seemed alien to me at the time. It didn't seem like it made sense when I was younger. But now reading this, knowing that the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society are being willfully disingenuous with the type of things that they're putting towards their young people, it's just phenomenal. Anyway, last part. They are able to live happily without fulfilling their sexual urges.
No, they don't. They go to brothels.
I'm sorry, but that sentence in itself is an oxymoron. They are able to live happily without fulfilling their sexual urges. There's got to be a little part of their life that isn't happy, and I'm guessing it's the sexual part. Yeah. Those with homosexual inclinations can do the same if they truly want to please God. Deuteronomy 30, verse 19. All I can say is just yowzers. There's a couple of bits that I missed that I don't really have time to go into it because I'm going to try and keep this as a mini series. Just at the bottom there it says, what do you think? Bullet points. Why does God have the right to impose moral laws on humans? Well, first of all, I'd say he doesn't, being that there is no evidence that he exists. But I think what they're getting at is, why does God have the right to impose moral laws on humans? Because, why? Well, he made all humans. Divine command theory. He can do whatever he wants with us because we are his shitty little playthings. Second bullet point. How do you benefit from adhering to the Bible's moral laws? You do not and cannot. I can't even see that from a religious point of view. It's so pathetic. Anyway, so that's questions young people ask, answers that work. Let's say answers from an atheist, shall we? Atheists. So feel free to tune in, follow the links. You can follow us watchtowerandawakening.com. You'll find all the links there. You can follow me on Twitter at Apostate Awake, capital A Apostate, capital A Awake. You can follow us via iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube. If you feel like giving $1, patreon.com. We'll see you next time in our mini-series, Young People Ask. Say goodbye, Norris.
Goodbye, Norris.
Hey.